Weekly live close here on the Passive Income Podcast with myself and co-host Joseph Hadaway. Joe, how's your week been?
It has been a whole week. Honestly, probably been a bad week because I am not an Nvidia shareholder.
And right, so uh, great right off the top, Nvidia. We're going to talk about it. That's going to
Oh, we
probably
have
be
to.
the majority of what we talk about this week. But before we get into that, before we get into talking about Nvidia and their earnings call, let's quickly go over the numbers of the week and the closing numbers. So, again, the TSX. Actually, this is interesting. You know how the last few weeks I've been saying I thought the all-time high of the TSX was 21,008 or 900. I actually
Mhm.
read an article this week where back in March of, I believe, 2022, it just crested over 22,000. So
Oh, wow.
again, closing this week at 21,413. So yeah, kind of on track to maybe this year or early next year get back to an all-time high. TSX just moving right along there. S&P 500 closing over 5,000 again this week. I think that is the third week straight, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
I mean, that sounds right. I mean, to add on that as well, the S&P and the Dow Jones both closed at record highs today.
Yeah. So there's the Dow Jones right there at 39,131. And one of our favorite subjects, the Canadian US dollar, really not doing anything. It's been at the Canadian dollar at 74 US cents for the last,
Since we started doing this, really.
I think so, right? We're going to crude oil at 76.6. And that is in USD. So yeah, you kind of got to pay attention when you're on yahoofinance.ca because some prices will be in Canadian, some in US. So Bitcoin never closes. This is obviously in Canadian dollars at 68,704. And I was looking at it earlier today in US dollars around 51,000, give or take, somewhere in that
Yep,
ballpark.
yep.
And gold futures, Russell, 10-year bond, NASDAQ. That's where we want to get to. The NASDAQ closing at 15,996.
Come on, Nvidia, you gotta pull it up.
Okay. We'll get to Nvidia. We'll get to Nvidia. Let's quick look at footsie for fun, right? Over there, London. I don't know if we have anybody. Shout out to anyone who might be watching from the UK. Closing this week at 7,706. And Nikkei, anyone in Japan, welcome to the Passive Income Podcast and the weekly close live, closing this week at 39,000. So yeah, those are the closing numbers for the week. But you are right. We do want to get to Nvidia, but before we get to Nvidia, we have to get through
We
Tuesday
do, and then
because the Nvidia call was on Wednesday, and there are some things to talk about from Wednesday's earnings.
yes.
Tuesday's earnings.
Oh,
Obviously, this week, Monday was a holiday, and Tuesday we had some interesting before open Walmart, Home Depot, and a few others. And then after close, we had Realty Income and Teladoc and a few others. So yeah, just jump right in there and wherever you want to start.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if we're starting before close, or no, excuse me, before open. What I mean, which I guess is still before close too. Walmart and Home Depot looking pretty good. I mean, they both hit earnings basically spot on. I think Home Depot beat EPS by like a cent per share, and Walmart was also pretty spot on. Both solid blue chips, though. I think kind of about what you'd expect. Stocks up about 3% on the week. Real big news coming out of that though. Walmart is buying Vizio in a $2.3 billion deal. I don't know if you heard about that, Dave.
Yeah, I did. I heard about it and I saw kind of the headline. I didn't really dive deep into the article or anything. So at this point, I'm sure you're more educated than I am on the topic, on the subject.
I try. But yeah, I mean, basically, we were talking about this last week on the Marketplace podcast. Statistically looking at it, Walmart and Sam's Club are like the biggest sellers of Vizio TVs, and they have been for a while now. So the deal kind of makes sense because I mean, if you're already the one selling the product, might as well own the means of production. And then also on top of that, I didn't fully understand this, but Walmart believes something with Vizio's reach on their smart TVs and their ad console can help Walmart sell more ads and get in front of more eyeballs. I kind of just I'm with Dave. I kind of read the headline on that one, but I'm not going to pretend to understand it.
Right.
After
And it's not hard to sound or be more educated than me, right? So we'll just set the record straight there.
you said it, not me. Moving into the after close earnings, though, I'm sure, if not a big fan of yours, a big fan of the rest of DivX, old ticker O, the monthly dividend company, Realty Income.
Right.
Up 2% on the week, which was kind of nice. Slight EPS miss, 104 expected versus 101 actual, which I mean at 3 cents a share, where I feel like we're kind of splitting hairs. But
Yeah.
O was a really interesting earnings call because we've talked about this every single week. Rates in the U.S. are high right now, and commercial real estate especially is feeling it. And it seems like O isn't immune from that, but they do look like they're having a good plan to tackle it because they actually announced that they're going to be selling or issuing more shares, and they're going to use the money from that to pay down debt and work on expanding their business operations, which is, again, they got rewarded for that, which I don't know. I guess people like the restructuring. Stock still down 20% year over year, though, which
Right.
is, I don't know. It may be concerning. It may be a buy opportunity. Not financial advice.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, Realty Income obviously is an interesting one, and like you said, it's definitely a fan favorite on Twitter, on X. Um, Before we move on, I a couple more things on Tuesday before we get into that huge NVIDIA. I mean, everyone wants us to talk about NVIDIA. We want to talk about NVIDIA. We're getting to NVIDIA, but we're just trying to get through the Tuesday earnings calls first. Um, we kind of skipped over Home Depot. Anything there that caught your eye, or just not so much?
No, Home Depot kind of just seems to. I mean, again, Home Depot. I'm going to compare them. I mean, they're a blue chip in my eyes, at least. I mean, they're up 3% on the week. Earnings were pretty much spot on. Revenue was a little bit. Consumer sales are a little up. Home construction in the U.S. is looking positive, so their outlook was, I think, slightly better than what Wall Street expected. But I mean,
Right.
they're chugging along, and that's not an insult. I mean, Home Depot is a solid company, and I can say, as someone who only lives near Lowe's stores, I'm now a Home Depot shopper for life.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's my personal opinion on that. I wish so bad they'd build a Home Depot near me. I want that so bad. But yeah, they're chugging along. They're doing great. I mean, you still get pretty solid growth. They're up like 20% year over year. With new home construction potentially on the horizon, that could be a great buy opportunity. Solid dividend yield. Just I mean, don't expect again Nvidia size news out of them just because they've been doing this for how long now?
Right. Yeah. Forever and a day, or so it seems. And then one last thing from the Tuesday's calls, before we started recording, you said you wanted to mention something about
I
Teladoc. So
did.
please enlighten me. What is interesting about Teladoc when all we want to do is talk about
Well,
NVIDIA?
first off, I'd like to apologize to the Fiverr shareholders who I insulted last week. But you guys don't worry. I got more for you today. Um, Teladoc down 40% year over year, still down from their IPO price. Down. They are not profitable. They did beat EPS expectations. Negative 17 cents a share actual versus what, negative 21 cents a share expected. I don't know. I'm remembering back to what, 2 years ago when that was the Twitter's most hyped stock, and I can say Twitter because back then it was. Um, it always will be. Sorry, Dave.
No, hey, I every day I struggle to call it. Twitter, X, whatever. I still say sending out tweets. I think most people
Oh,
do.
without a doubt. But I don't know. They're down 40% year to date, which is ridiculous. I mean, to me, Teladoc seems like the poster child of a company that blew up during the COVID pandemic. Then, as the world reopened, everyone kind of went, "Well, what do we actually need this for?"
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I don't need to talk to my doctor over the internet the way we're doing right now. I can just go and see them.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like I think my insurance, I mean U.S. insurance here. I think I get Teladoc. I don't. I don't know. I'm gonna keep comparing because in my mind, it's that startup that blew up. Everyone thought it was a great idea, and then they got to now, and it's like, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it was just situationally good.
Right.
And again, if you look at that price chart, they very much did a whole arc with 2021 being the apex.
Okay, we're getting into Wednesday, and Wednesday, it's like I'm sorry to do this to people, but before open, is there anything before open that you want to talk about? Because that Nvidia that everyone wants to talk about Nvidia, including you and I,
I gotta
was after close. So anything before open on Wednesday, HSBC, any of those others on the before open on Wednesday, or you just want to skip into Nvidia?
no, I gotta hit one before open. And let me tell you, if Etsy wasn't reporting after close, I wouldn't hit this at all. But Wix,
Right.
Wix kind of been a sleeper. I'll be honest, I didn't know they were publicly traded until last week. Somebody I think mentioned it to me on Twitter. Wix actually killing it right now, up 45% year over year. They beat EPS in a big way by almost like 30%, $1.22 per share actual versus Wall Street only expected 95 cents a share. So Wix as a website maker, wildly profitable. Their outlook's looking great. And a lot of your big banks just raised their price target on them up to around the $168 a share.
Wow. Wow. Okay, is it
It is
time?
time, Dave.
Finally, Nvidia. Holy wow. What happened there this week? Let's dive into it.
They made a lot of millionaires. Actually, kind of aside,
And you and I were not two
we
of
were
them.
not. Actually, I've heard this before. Nvidia has had trouble retaining people lately because their stock's doing so well. They've made so many millionaires from people who've worked there for 15, 20 years.
Oh, right. Yeah, like you probably have like stock options as an employee, and the employees are just like, you know what, I just made like $10 million and
I did,
I'm out.
yeah.
Right. Like see you in Hawaii or wherever.
But yeah, let's see here. But if I'm this one, I don't have written down. I know they beat all expectations by about 10%. If I remember correctly, their EPS was 5.16 a share versus 4.63 expected, I believe. Same thing with revenue expectations: 22 billion versus 20.6 billion. I'm impressed at myself for just quoting that. So that's 10% beats on both revenue and EPS. And also, if you look before, like the before earnings, like Wednesday during trading hours, stock was down like 6%. People were very bearish on earnings, and then Nvidia said, "Screw that, we're going to shock the world." Uh, I mean, stock jumped more than 10% on the same day after hours, of course, over 30% on the month so far. But if you're looking at like what's really driving the stock forward, and I've said this every single week we've done this, Dave, it's all about the outlook right now. Like again, the U.S. economy looking forward, U.S. consumer mentality is it's a little mixed. Like you're either going to love it or you're
Right.
going to hate it. And the stocks that are getting rewarded right now are beating Wall Street's outlook, and the stocks that are getting hammered are because they're being maybe a little more realistic. But who's to say? But Nvidia's CEO came on the earnings call, and I'm paraphrasing obviously, and basically said that AI and high performance computers, which if you don't know what Nvidia does, they make high performance computer chips to help with things like AI, 5G, cloud computing, all these industries that are huge and booming right now. But he said that those use cases are in high demand in every industry, in every company, in every country in the world right now. And that he's
Right.
expecting 2024 and 2025 to be huge, not only for the industry itself, but also for NVIDIA in terms of both revenue and product development. Which I mean, kind of makes sense if you look at Nvidia's track record. Like OpenAI, all of ChatGPT is run off the Nvidia graphics card. I believe it's called the A100. Don't quote me on that though. It's A1 something. But
Right.
Nvidia right now, I mean, they've been making top of the line computer chips since 1993 when they first went public. And I mean, they had that gaming use case, but now all of a sudden they're getting into the world of the big tech hitters, and bam, Nvidia's pushing pushing being a $2 trillion company. Like what, 1.98 billion at close today, I think. Are you have it in front of me? Well, that's in CAD, isn't it?
No, that is in
Let's
USD.
see. I'm trying to see their 1.97 trillion. My bad. Which puts them at what, the third most valuable country or company in the world, behind.
It makes Nvidia bigger than the Canadian economy, which makes me happy for Nvidia, but sad for Canada, to be honest.
I would say,
And I really want to point out what happened here on Wednesday. So right there, I'm clicked on happens to be 3:30, so just half hour before close on Wednesday at 674. And again, this is US dollars. And then if I just scroll over slightly to Thursday at 9:30 in the morning. So right at market open, 766, and then closing the week at 788. Unreal. Unreal the way what this company did this week, right? Like big dip, well, relatively big dip on Friday. There's a fair bit of volatility here, right? Last Friday, close to close at 733. Monday morning, 694. People aren't really knowing what to expect because they know the earnings call is coming up, right? From on Monday, Tuesday. Well, yeah, Tuesday because the Monday was the holiday. We kind of scroll through here, get to Wednesday mid morning, 681 down to what did I say? Yeah, Wednesday at 3 p.m., 665, and then just this skyrocket on Thursday after the call because that was one of the most impressive earnings calls
maybe ever
in a long time, right? Like
well,
they just kind of destroyed.
can you pull up another ticker for me?
Yes.
SMCI, Super Micro
Okay.
Computers Inc.
You S.
Okay, I promise this is related.
Oh, if I put in an I instead of a one, um, Super Microcomputer
Yes,
Incorporated.
sir.
Okay. Wow.
You see, you're not
Honestly,
sharing your screen anymore.
yeah, I know.
Ah.
I know. There we go. I'll pull that up. $860, and just let me double check. Yes, this is also in
Can you
USD.
pull up their 5-day also?
Yep. Wow, they look like a bit of a bloodbath.
Well, they have been over the last. They're
7:02. Sorry to interrupt. 7:02 on Tuesday morning, and then they had a recovery Thursday, almost like they were on the coattails of the Nvidia.
That's
Maybe.
exactly where I was going. This SMCI Super Microcomputer make a lot of the hardware that goes with Nvidia's computer chips. So I don't want to call them an Nvidia supplier, but in a lot of ways, they work very hand in hand. So I didn't realize they were down this much today. They've been super volatile lately, but that's
990 on Thursday, half an hour before close.
yeah, they're
Like, wow, like, whew.
but yeah, that they got
That's like a short seller's dream. Somebody that shorted that yesterday at 990 to today at 860.
check out their 1 month. It's even worse.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh, run.
No, that's a lot of
Yep.
green. Look
There
at
you go.
that. 479 January 24th. And then up to 995 on February 15th.
They've been very much mirroring Nvidia in a lot of ways because the two companies very much go hand in hand. But like, yeah, that big jump is what I wanted to point out. Like Nvidia did so well, they even raised the prices of other stocks around them.
Wow. Yeah, riding the coattails, right?
Amen to that.
Unreal. Okay, how much more can we say about Nvidia and what an amazing week it had on the stock market as a company, outperforming my entire country, apparently.
I guess we just keep waiting. I mean, hey, we can move on to Rivian and start bringing people a little more down to earth.
Right. Well, let me just double check where were you? Was Rivian still on Wednesday, or is that into
Nope,
Thursday?
second biggest market cap after Wednesday close, so they should be number 2 on the list. Rivian and Etsy are the other two I want to hit before we
Rivian
move
still
on.
on Wednesday. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt.
No, we're all
again.
Good. What was it? 2-3 weeks ago we did Tesla's. We recap Tesla's earnings call.
Possibly.
I don't remember the exact date.
Yeah, so there it is. Nvidia, obviously the big dog after close, and then Rivian and Etsy and a few others.
Yeah, Rivian. First off, Rivian shareholders, I'm sorry. Tesla shareholders, I'm also sorry. A few weeks ago, when we did Tesla's earnings call, I said we're going to see what Rivian said because I don't know. I personally, as a consumer, like Rivian's product more. I don't own a Tesla. I drive a Hyundai. So take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. But Rivian shareholders, or I hope there aren't many of you watching this right now. You're down 50% year to date. Rivian itself is wildly unprofitable. Missed earnings, negative $1.36 a share actual versus negative $1.32 a share expected. So it's still a slight miss, but man, which is kind of, I mean, you got to compare the two. Rivian and Tesla, they're both the closest thing we might, or some of the closest things we have to pure play electric car stocks. I say a lot of very negative things about Tesla, but Tesla's profitable. Not too profitable. They are profitable at Rivian. And then on top of that, you took your outlook down hard. Stock got hammered for it too, and it still is. Again, we're going to keep going back. It's the exact opposite thing NVIDIA did. Rivian said they expect EV demand to be down over the next year, maybe the next 2 years. And I mean, Rivian's, they're expensive. Kind of looking into that economic factor right there too. And you lower your outlook, you miss earnings. You've been wildly unprofitable for how many years now? Rough day. Real rough day.
My thing with Rivian, I think honestly they are a great looking truck.
Oh, they really are.
Except those headlights. I can't get past those headlights. Those headlights to me are just like, didn't somebody in the design department or engineering or marketing say something to somebody about those headlights?
You'd think. I
like everything else about that truck looks amazing, looks great.
You'd think.
But those headlights, man, I can't get past it. I honestly can't.
I guess, and then, kind of just to keep going on the bad news train. Moving on to the next third biggest market cap after Wednesday close, Etsy. And I only want to bring Etsy up because we brought Wix up. Wix did great. Wix beat earnings. Wix is up like a ridiculous amount year over year. Then you have Etsy. Etsy, which, I mean, Wix, of course, is the website builder, but correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, Dave, but Wix seems to be very, build your own shop based, which is what Etsy is. So Etsy down 45% over the last year, 7% over the last week. Still a profitable company, near exactly hit earnings at 77 cents a share versus 78 cents expected. Still profitable, still, I guess, kicking is the word I'm going to use, but I don't know. I look at the two platforms like, Wix. You get your own domain, you get your own customizable website, and a lot of the same support that Etsy offers versus Etsy. And no matter what you do, you have an Etsy shop and you are selling on Etsy.com. It's almost like we're seeing what consumers prefer. I mean, you have one that's up 45% and one that's down 45%. Take your pick.
And weren't we just talking about Shopify last week or the week before as well? And how does that play into that space?
Yeah, Shopify is kind of very similar right there with Wix. And of course, the perk of Wix is they're a website builder. They offer a lot more than just shop. Shopify, like is in the name, is strictly just a shopping site. And Shopify is getting a lot of press, like Mr. Beast runs everything he does through Shopify. And I can confirm he lives here now. Saw him in Target last week.
Did you really? That's interesting.
Yeah, he was doing something with his Feastival brand. I did not stop him because he didn't look like he wanted to be bothered.
Yeah, that's understandable.
But
I'm sure he's a busy guy.
I have no doubt. But yeah, Shopify been getting a lot of brand recognition, and again, people are loving Shopify. And again, with Shopify, you get your own store that you customize with your own domain. Maybe it seems like a shifting mindset. Why would you sell on somebody else's platform when you can just have your own for what's really a similar price? I mean, because as someone who is sold on both, Wix, of course, makes money. Their revenue model, Wix, Shopify, you pay X number of dollars for your domain and then X dollars a month to host your website, shop, whatever it be. Etsy, you still got to pay. The shop, I believe, is completely free. You just pay transaction fees. And then again, you also turn around and you pay, it's not much, it's like $1 per month per item on your shop. So they kind of nickel and dime you there. Whereas again, Wix and Shopify, you pay that one-time monthly fee, you get unlimited. So I'm going to keep pulling this, man. It's almost like the consumer doesn't like being nickeled and dimed. It's like we're seeing a shift in the market. Now, I'm not saying don't buy Etsy. This is not financial advice. I'm just saying that I'm not buying Etsy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I guess speaking of Shopify, Wix, Etsy, I really have to give a shout out to buyinvestingshirts.com. Right?
Enough you go to buy investing shirts, I'll buy my second pool next week.
That's right. Yeah. I just keep buying you a pool every week. Everybody just keeps going to buyinvestingshirts.com. You can receive a free passive income posse. Turn that cash register around coffee mug with any purchase over 100 Canadian dollars before taxes and shipping at buyinvestingshirts.com. Use code word posse for 5% discount on your purchase, link in the description below. Definitely, all I need to do is sell 1,000,000 ball caps, couple 100,000 hoodies, a few 100,000 t-shirts, and yeah, I'm buying you like 5 more pools, right?
You guys want to know how much Dave pays me? I get a pool per episode. I've asked for money, but he said it was better this way.
Yeah, right. Moving into Thursday, have we got Thursday? What's coming up on Thursday here? Moderna. Let me share screen here so you can see what I'm looking at.
Moderna.
A whole lot of Wayfair, kind of in that same ballpark as I guess the Wix and the
Moderna. You and I talked about per the call. Apparently, I've been missing out. Moderna has been taking the Meta route. If you remember Meta from a few weeks back, they jumped ridiculously on what was more revenue, but it was a huge increase in the profit margin. Nvidia on the brain, I guess. Moderna on the other side, they actually saw slipping revenue. The only real product they have in market right now is the COVID-19 vaccine. And as you can imagine, demand for that is way down from where it was, 3-4 years ago. Right. But despite that, they still beat EPS expectations. And let me tell you, I don't think they're getting enough credit for it. EPS expected was negative 97 cents a share. Came out at 55 cents a share. That is a $1.50 beat. That is wildly not profitable versus decently profitable. Stock is up, let's see here, 5% on the week. Well, I don't know enough about the underlying business. I didn't listen to the call. I'm just getting these front line. And I'm like, man, if you can announce profitability like that when you're expected to be wildly unprofitable, what else did you say on the call to only jump 5%? I feel like they screwed something up.
Yeah, honestly, that's impressive, right?
It really is.
Expecting to be a loser and all of a sudden you're a winner kind of thing.
Yeah, a decent winner at that. Yeah. And I am also once again back for my weekly attack at Fiverr shareholders. You actually beat earnings this week. Good job, guys. You did it. And you're up 5% today.
Fiverr right there before open on Thursday.
Yeah.
Have you ever used Fiverr?
All the time, as both a buyer and a seller.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, I've used it a few times myself. I've listed myself on it as well, but nobody's ever nibbled. But honestly, it's a good platform, right? You can find somebody to do pretty much anything that's digital related, whether it's video editing or content creation or anything.
It's my problem with Fiverr, and I firmly believe that Fiverr should have never been a publicly traded company, and I'm very clear on this. So again, Fiverr shareholders, you're up 5% this week, or 5% today, but you're down 20% this week, and I don't even want to know what you're down year over year even. You actually beat earnings though. Good job. Don't get used to it. My problem with Fiverr as a platform, I don't like Fiverr as a stock. I love it as a platform, I don't like it as a stock. My problem with Fiverr is I've said this before. I remember this on your podcast or somebody else's, but Fiverr used to be a pretty decent side hustle for me. I used to make pretty decent money charging usually about 3-4 cents a word for an article, and or sometimes even up to 6 cents. So I could put out a Fiverr sellers page for a 1,000-word article for $60, and I was doing usually 1-2 a week. Fiverr took their 20% cut, which is what they always do, and then I move on with my life. I get my $48, 80% of 60%. 80% of $60, and I move on with my life, and I'm fine. And then it quickly became a race to the bottom. And ChatGPT and AI is just making it worse. So it's kind of getting to the point where, I'm charging 5-6 cents a word, but then there's somebody else in a lower income third world country who will do the exact same article to near the same level of quality for 2 cents a word. One, even I've seen as low as 1 cent a word.
Right.
These prices are just an insane race to the bottom. It's not as much about quality anymore because so many people, make a very high quality product. And then you add on now, I mean, I can turn out a chat GPT 500 word article in 20 minutes. It's not hard, and then if I'm
Yeah.
only doing 20 minutes of work and I get $8 for that, $10 minus 5 or 20% service fee, that's not bad. I mean, call that 24 an hour. And I'm not going to say it's
Semi-passive income, right?
exactly. I'm not going to say it's going to kill the platform, but I do think it's going to kill revenue because since Fiverr's only major, of course, you can buy ads on the platform and a couple other things. Their only real major source of revenue is when a seller sells something. And Fiverr, the lower the seller sells it for, the less money Fiverr makes. And that's just how it's going to keep being. So as long as it's a race to the bottom on their platform, I love the platform. I think the platform will stick by, but I think they're going to get hammered as a stock.
Right. Interesting too. Definitely not like Fiverr, but similar and another internet platform offering an IPO. I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but Reddit. What
Yes.
what what is that? Why is Reddit gonna have an initial public offering?
I'm surprised they haven't yet. Reddit's been talking about it for a while. Reddit's also a Y
Okay.
Combinator alum, so I think if you go through Y Combinator, you kind of have to. It's just what you do at some point. Um, yeah, Reddit. I mean, why does I guess you would go back to why does anybody go public? I mean, you probably have some founders who want to have the ease of time selling their stock. You want access to the public debt markets. That's always huge, and you kind of want
Right.
maybe sometimes it is a good idea to open yourself up to public scrutiny. So if Reddit's willing to go public, their ad sales must be looking pretty good.
Okay. Let's jump right into Friday. And honestly, probably the only thing interesting from today is Warner Brothers. Pretty big
Oh
miss.
yeah. Also wildly not profitable. Not Rivian bad, but negative 16 cents a share EPS. Stock's down 10% today. Down 70% in the last 5 years. If you wanted to be profitable on Warner Bros. Current stock price, you should have bought back in 2007. That's how bad it's been.
Right.
But yeah, those Hollywood strikes hit revenue. Was like the Writers Guild of America, WGA, I believe, hit Warner Brothers a lot harder than a lot of people expected. Like you could say it's priced in. Well, apparently they didn't price in enough. And the other one I kind of want to talk about today was Bloomin' Brands reported today.
Yep. Go for it.
Not much to say about them. Slight EPS beat, 69 cents a share versus 75 cents actual. So we'll take that about 8% beat. They kind of had a weird earnings call though. The stock's up about 2%, if I remember correctly. They lowered their Q1 outlook, which is generally bad, but they also announced $300 million in stock buybacks. So, buybacks good, bad outlook bad. We net up a little bit, I guess.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, and that kind of takes us through the week. Obviously the big news of this past week is Nvidia and just crazy earnings call. Crazy. I don't even I don't even know what to call what happened on Thursday. It's not a. I guess it was a rally, but a huge just upswing in the price from aftermarket on after the call on Wednesday after close to Thursday morning.
Fun,
Just kind of unreal what happened there.
fun
I
fact.
shouldn't say unreal. I mean, we've seen it before. We'll see it again, but it is fun to watch. As you alluded to, millionaires were made this week. Unfortunately,
No.
you and I were not two of them. So we will be back here again next Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Weekly Close Live. And remember, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your relatives, tell your enemies. We're trying to grow this and get this up so that someday I get to pay my co-host. We just need like what 1,000, maybe 2,000 viewers on a consistent basis so
that
that
that or we just need
that YouTube pays me enough to pay you.
say that or we just need one we need one Jeff Bezos to come in here and donate like 6 figures every episode.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, we could work with that. Whatever works, right? Oh, actually, before we sign off, was that this past week or the week before where Jeff Bezos sold like was it $4 billion worth of Amazon stocks or was it 2 billion? Like whatever, it was some ridiculously
What?
gigantic
Well,
number.
now I.
A few $1 billion worth of Amazon stocks, and it's like,
Oh
what
yeah,
does he know that we don't know, or why is he selling so much Amazon stock?
you were right. He unloaded $2.4 billion in Amazon stock back on Tuesday. I didn't even hear about that. Apparently, he's been doing this pretty regularly for a few years now.
Is it those alimony payments, like just making her the richest woman in the world? Like, I don't know.
Apparently, this is a prearranged trading plan where he's going to sell up to 50 million shares of Amazon between November of last year and January 31st of next year.
Okay, so it's not as sketchy as it may sound.
It's kind of like also, if you may have heard, the CEO of Morgan Stanley sold a bunch of stock today too.
Yeah, no, I did not hear that. Obviously, when Jeff Bezos sells a few $1 billion worth of Amazon, that's something you hear about.
He only sold 4.4 million. Oop, no, never mind.
Yeah, only.
Yeah, yeah. If I mean, you want to throw 4.4 million my way, I won't argue with you.
Right, right. Well, hey, all we need is about probably 100 more million viewers, and I'll be right into that Mr. Beast money. So next time you see Jimmy there at the grocery store, tell him the Passive Income Posse is coming for you, buddy. The Passive Income Posse is coming for you.
If we could just get him on one episode, we'd be set.
Probably might help. Yeah, next time you see him in the store, like maybe talk to him, right?
I'll slip him a hat.
Exactly, exactly. Well, with that said, again, always a pleasure talking to you. Truly enjoy our little weekly or weekly, 35, 40 minute chats recapping the news of the week and everything that's happened. So appreciate you, appreciate your time.
Oh yeah, appreciate you
And
too,
we
Dave.
will see you again next week. And of course, did you know, before we log off, did you know that it will improve your mental health if you click subscribe? That's all you got to do.
It,
Just click subscribe on the Passive Income Podcast, and your mental health will improve tenfold. I don't know, a
well,
hundredfold.
I gotta say,
I'm not a doctor. You tell me.
even if you just like us, it'll improve our mental health 20-fold.
Yeah, right. Just hit the like button. It makes us feel better. It makes us feel like we're good people.
It's like that hug my dad never gave me growing up. Every time you hit the like button, I'm gonna make that joke. I talk to my dad like every day. We get along phenomenally. I should probably preface that.
That's pretty funny. That's good. Okay, awesome. Thanks again, Joe. And we will see you again next Friday at 5:30 here on the Weekly Close Live on the Passive Income Podcast.
See,
And I'm not joking. Subscribe.
see you all next week.